What to expect for Nvidia earnings. Here's the thing. Short interest, lowest levels ever. Long-term positioning, highest levels ever. At the same time, we're expecting a beat over last quarter's revenues of about 4.2%. The current street expectation is $46.2 billion of revenue. Of that, 24.9 going to the net number. You got to just, for a moment, take a pause and appreciate those margins. $24.92 billion of net on $46.23 billion of gross is a 53% net margin. That's twice the net margin of AMD. Now, I'm not here in this video to bag on AMD at all. In fact, in our alpha report, remember coupon?
Bullish Catalyst.
Bullish Catalyst. That's the name of the coupon. We've been talking about AMD being undervalued on a PEG ratio basis since it was $80, $90, $100, and it's been a great ride for AMD to come back finally into the 160s now. But this is about Nvidia. Nvidia has over 95% of this advanced AI market, and yes, the new AMD processors are great. I'm filming this on an AMD chip right now and streaming on an AMD chip. They're fantastic for my CPU. Of course, my Nvidia 5090 is doing the real work. Let's be real. Now, okay, look, not trying to poop on AMD, a big fan of AMD, but we got to understand that Nvidia is the market right now. Over 95% of this GPU chip market in the AI trade. And so when we look at what institutions are saying about what to expect for Nvidia, it's not really that we're not expecting a push through of higher revenue. They always beat and raise. They guided 45 billion. We know they're going to beat. They guide 45. It's expected to come in at 46.2. Again, what was the prior? This is always what you want to pay attention to. Just look at the prior report for Nvidia. The prior report of revenue was 44. So if we come in at expectations on Nvidia, we're going to be looking at a beat of about 4.2% quarter over quarter. That's a little bit on the lower side, and possibly some of that could be because of, the headwinds of the lower revenues from China, especially China banning investments, or basically in Nvidia chips, unless they can prove, the companies in China can prove why they're not using homegrown chips. This is, by the way, and of course, one of the reasons why we're seeing such explosiveness in enthusiasm for people investing in the Chinese version of Nvidia, so to speak, which I first mentioned on the channel on August 12th, and even mentioned it in the Meet Kevin Alpha report. And what you'll notice is, as of August 12th, the stock has nearly doubled from $700 to about $1,329. That's ticker 688256. Got the classic 256 at the end over there. So really impressive movement there on that particular ticker. But what we got to know is, when it comes to Nvidia, how much money do people have left to keep throwing at artificial intelligence? That's the big question right here. So look at this. Here's some notes from some institutions. They say that we believe near-term AI fundamentals are strong, driven by strong hyperscale CapEx spending. This is going to come in spite of Meta talking about reducing its hiring for staff because they've hired enough. Frankly, I think they realize they have enough staff and they don't need to keep hiring staff. And that's why you've got to pause at Meta on staff. I personally don't think Meta is slowing down their hiring because they want to slow down on AI. I mean, you know me, I shill these like I'm sponsored, but I'm not sponsored by the Meta glasses. And I shill them all the time because the Meta AI sucks, but the glasses are great. Yeah, you've seen my other topics on this, so we don't have to go deep into that. But there's so much room for improvement on Meta AI, and we saw what happened with GPT-5. It wasn't that great. There's a lot of extra work to do. And the broadening of artificial intelligence is really where Nvidia is going to keep sales going now. I mean, even HouseHack is looking at buying Blackwell racks, at least some 5U unit racks. That's a little redundant, but for server speak, 5U racks. They go into a rack. But anyway, that's because we're seeing, just with the hardware that we're using now, how we can probably process the AI work that we do at HouseHack for, the beta software that we're releasing towards the end of the year for AI in real estate, wedge deal finding. We think we can process our AI 4 to 5 times faster with better hardware than what we have right now, which is great because it just lets us get to market sooner, which lets us print more SaaS revenue sooner. I always have to say when I mention my real estate startup that obviously I'm biased, CEO of the company. We are doing a fundraise at househack.com. I think it's mostly on an real estate valuation right now. I don't think any AI valuation is built into it and can't make any AI guarantees. Read the risks, disclosures, the prospectus, offering circular, and everything. This video is not a solicitation for that fundraise. Just want to be clear about that. I'm just mentioning it as a CEO of a company who uses AI. And we're building out our AI technology and our SaaS. We look and we go, we could see the desire of companies buying AI chips to become more efficient, to offer software and service products quicker and make more revenues quickly. Like the amount of money we're going to spend on hardware is a fraction of what we could potentially earn in revenue. So it makes sense why the AI hardware segment is booming so much. And really, there's a plus and a minus here. As AI hardware desires expand and you get more companies, smaller startups using AI hardware, or even like, who is it? I think it was the Andreessen Horowitz firm. They're talking about using the Nvidia Blackwell 6000 chips. You can actually buy the Nvidia Blackwell 6000s on Amazon. They're about, I think they're $8,000 a piece right now. So it's not quite an H100 or a GB200, right? But if you go Blackwell 6000 on Amazon, I think you could get one right after Labor Day right now if you wanted it. Yeah, look at this. Nvidia RTX Pro 6000 Blackwell professional workstation chip, $9,000 just for one chip. Compared to $25.99 for the 5090. Here you could get the RTX Pro 6000, which they're pitching is basically, your office potential AI stations. These are great. We're looking at these as well for HouseHack. And this is fantastic. Like you can do some really good work with this. And it shows you as you're getting this broadening out, you're increasing your base of people who can buy NVIDIA stuff. But it also makes you wonder, like, what's the phase after this? Like, if we go from hyperscalers building out to smaller startups building out, what's next? That's it. You're kind of getting to the point where you're at the end of the road. So yes, there are optimistic expectations that we're going to keep seeing these increases in, artificial intelligence forecasts. Well, CapEx forecast for Nvidia. Like we could see, I think this is from JP Morgan, I want to say, US Market Intel. I'm pretty sure this is this is JP Morgan. It looked like a JP Morgan piece. So JP Morgan, they suggest that they think Nvidia is going to end up giving us guidance for the third quarter of $53 to $54 billion, which at the midpoint would be growth of 53.5 divided by 46.5 would be about 15% quarter over quarter growth. That would be great because right now we think we're only going to grow about 4% from the last quarter, the first quarter to the second quarter. But that third quarter growth getting back to 15%, that would be good. People want to see that. So as usual, this is going to be a growth story. I think that's why NVIDIA started talking about their robotic brain chips to get humanoid robots and keep pitching humanoid robots, keep pitching the next chip, the next investment for NVIDIA. And Jensen is one of the best sellers of stocks ever. You have to remember, securities are sold and not bought. And Jensen, much like Carpet Palantir, can sell this stock. That is the key. The more we can sell this guidance, the more the stock can moon. If we can guide, and this is, I think, the only thing that you have to pay attention to for earnings tomorrow. Keep it very simple. If they guide over $55 billion tomorrow in sales through Blackwell, the next versions of Blackwells, the robotics, whatever. If they guide more than $55 billion, I think you can moon on NVIDIA just like you're seeing at 688-256. Now, what do I mean when I say moon on NVIDIA? Well, what I mean is breaking 200. I think to break 200, we need to guide. Really, I've got a 198 line here. 198.98 is my next line for it on a fib extension here. But we can break this and the psychological 200 barrier if they forecast more than 55 bill. If you forecast less than $53 billion, people are going to start going, crap, we're running out of people to sell chips to. We're seeing that real slowdown. After I think we get this Nvidia beat, I think Palantir, as I've mentioned since yesterday morning in the course member alpha report, I mentioned in the alpha report, watch for the dip at the morning, and this thing is going to go to 170, especially with an Nvidia beat. It's been straight up since that call. I also called Tesla going to 347 and not a dime higher. And the last 2 days, it has been sitting right at the line, not going a dime higher. So Palantir call has been killing it. The Tesla call has been killing. And I'm really optimistic for Nvidia if they can break that guidance. That is the critical moment here. So get that guide to come in. That's all that matters. I'm not worried about China. Honestly, there's a benefit to us holding this technology to ourselves. Let China develop their own crap. I'm really not worried about the H20s. I'm not going to pay a lot of attention to the H20s. I'm more worried about guidance. And in order to get people to take stocks at maximum leverage, leveraged ETFs at maximum leverage, and stocks at all-time highs, in order for us to really get to next all-time high levels, which will take Nvidia over 170, will take super microcomputer back to $60. You need Nvidia to beat with a $55 billion. Like, you have to beat the estimates. If the Wall Street estimates are 53 to 54, we need to be above that. That's because sentiment is already too bullish. Positioning remains high. Investors are long. They sound optimistic. You need like a beat on top of the expectations. That's all it is for Nvidia tomorrow. That's my opinion. I'm really optimistic and I'm hopeful, but this is what we need to keep going because otherwise we've got really not great catalysts coming up. The next not great catalyst that we're going to have to worry about, September 5th jobs and September 9th QCEW revisions. So watch those. Obviously, I'll be streaming NVIDIA live, so we will be covering it all together. But that's the number to look for. The guidance. They got to beat the 46.2 revenue for this quarter, but they got to guide more than 55 bill, and then we can really keep booming. I'm super excited, by the way. I'm running the 5090 on this computer right now. I love it. My other one was getting bogged down, which was a 4090, which is mind-blowing that we already bogged that one down. And we were, we are like maxing out our capacity on the AI hardware we have for a house hack right now. I personally am so excited to be a buyer. And like, I'm on the phone with super microcomputers talking about which rack to install with NVIDIA chips on it because we know it's going to make us money. Okay, hashtag not guaranteed, dear SEC. We're not making any guarantees. That's what we believe. We believe it's going to make us money, that house hack, a lot of money. And so we're like, please, like, when can we get the hardware? What do they tell us? 8 weeks, 8-week lead time to get the hardware. So if I want to buy the Blackwell 6000, that's going to cost me $9,000 and I can get it next week off Amazon. But if I want to get a whole rack system installed, it's going to take 8 weeks. So we're still at 8-week lead times at super microcomputer. I don't think that's insider info either. That's just like you pick up the phone and call the sales team. That's pretty straightforward. So anyway, that's my take. And oops. Okay. So that's my take on NVIDIA. Really hope it goes well. I gotta go. Thank you so very much for being here. Good luck on NVIDIA tomorrow. Oh, before you go, let me give you historic volatility, because if you're gonna play options on it, you need to know this. So this is why you always want to stay to the end of Kevin's videos, because you don't know when you're gonna get a secret bonus like Kevin showing you the shorts. Okay. I don't think you want to see the shorts. NVIDIA, so implied volatility is 5.93% tomorrow. And if I go to historic volatility, which is normal, 5.93 is pretty normal. Historic volatility on NVIDIA right now is pretty low. It's low on the 10-day, historically low on the 10-day. Going all the way back to 2023, we are mega low. We are at the lows on volatility, so cheap to buy options. Puts or calls, cheap to buy right now. And if I go on the 5-day average, we are also on the lower side. So, you know, bullish buying calls right now, not selling, not a lot of volatility on it. So I think people just expect they're going to do really well, but we'll see. My take on Nvidia, really appreciate you being here. I got to go. We'll see y'all in the next one. I got a meeting to go to. See ya.
Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.